In today's Leeds news, Centenary Square changes, Tanaka move surprises Dusseldorf, St.Gallen delighted with Schmidt Sale, international call-ups, and Archie Sale avoids PSR Armageddon. Morning folks, Jerry here on Tuesday morning the 3rd of September with your Leeds United news. I hope you're having a good week so far. There will be a match review later on this evening. It'll be a pre-recorded live from myself and Ben Locklocky Leeds. And just looking back at the whole game, that'll go out later on tonight. We didn't get a chance to do it yesterday evening. People aren't moving. Jerry McNamee is moving house at the moment, so Jerry's not available till later in the week. But we will do something towards the end of the week, looking into the weekend as well. We'll start off today. There's a couple of bits and pieces, some clarity around exits and signings from Leeds. We knew that once the window closed, we would get the clarity and the information. We're still waiting on Leeds United to speak to the local press that they said they would do once the window closed. That'll probably happen after the international break. But in the meantime, there's some information starting to come up. But we'll start off with some changes to Centenary Square for those who have stones in that area who might be concerned or worried about what's going on there. Leeds are making changes to Centenary Square and have put out a statement on their website to confirm all of the information to fans that would be interested in this. In the report, Leeds say that the club is replacing all of the existing stones at Bremner Square for free of charge, whilst also creating space for some new ones to be sold. The replacement stones will be exact replicas of the existing stones that are in place, but the club is working with a new company to provide higher quality stones than the existing ones that are in place. As part of this, the club will also be introducing a new area dedicated to former managers Don Revie, Howard Wilkinson and Marcelo Bielsa. And these will be similar stones that are in Bremner Square, and you can purchase them now on leedsunited.com. If you want to get all the information and the full statement for the club on the changes to Bremner Square, you can check that out on leedsunited.com. Now it's up there for you to see. Moving on to some of the transfers that came into Leeds. We'll get to the ones that went out as well, but there's some information popping up now around the details surrounding the transfers that came in. And Tanaka, or Ao Tanaka as it's correctly pronounced, we've been corrected, is the one that we'll focus on. James Marshman in Team Talk has a really good piece on the transfers that happened for Leeds in deadline day week. It's a really good piece. When it's not a transfer related story, Team Talk actually do put out some really good written pieces as well, and that should be said. But Marshman has said that Ao Tanaka's move to Leeds from Dusseldorf surprised Dusseldorf in the end. Tanaka made his debut for Leeds against Hull in a short cameo, but also managed to break a record during that time. He's managed to clock up the most amount of passes of any substitute in a 10-minute period towards the end of a game for Leeds. So that's an encouraging start, I suppose, for the Japanese international. But now it's emerged that Leeds did in fact make a move for the player earlier in the window. There were some stories around about the 20th of June that Tanaka had changed his agent and the Leeds were having a look at the player and were interested in making a move for the Japanese midfielder. But nothing happened and it went quiet, and his name would pop up every now and then, but nothing major was really being said about the player. But now we know that Leeds did in fact make a bid for Tanaka around the 20th of June. Leeds' initial offer for the player was rejected, but when it became clear to Dusseldorf that Tanaka was not keen on signing an extension to his deal, they became keen on selling the player. Leeds' opening bid for the player was estimated to be €2.5 million, so around £1.7 million. Pretty small deal, and Dusseldorf rejected that, and they assumed that Leeds United would not come back in with a second bid for the player, and they began making preparations to try and keep the player and offer him an increased or better deal to stay at the club. They were said to have been caught off guard when Leeds did in fact come back in with a second offer for the player, and Dusseldorf felt that the second offer was just too good to reject. An offer of €3.3 million, so about £2.7 million was enough to secure Tanaka for Leeds United, and Dusseldorf quite happy with the revenue that they received for the player. It's not a huge amount of money. It represents pretty decent value on what we've seen in the cameo that he's played so far. If he can continue to do that on a more regular basis and start games for Leeds, that could be a very shrewd piece of business coming through the rest of the season. People have already started to say Groove could be under pressure for that position. He looks very tidy on the ball, Tanaka. He looks very keen to get involved in the game and take the ball. He's not a small player either. He's quite a big player as well. So a lot of positive stuff there. If he can come back from international duty with Japan, come back into the Leeds team, get settled in and get moving, we could be very happy with some of the signings that Leeds have made in this window, but we'll have to wait and see, and time will tell on the bulk of them. Moving on to a player that also came in during the final week of the window, and whilst Dusseldorf were surprised at Tanaka's exit to Leeds, St.Gallen are said to be delighted with the fee that they received for Isaac Schmidt on deadline day, which represents a club record sale. Schmidt was the only new boy to not make his debut for Leeds United the weekend on a deal that's estimated to be an initial £3.4 million up front. Schmidt, in his first interview, spoke about how delighted he is to be at Elland Road and be representing Leeds. And the initial £3.4 million offer will rise to about £4.8 million should Leeds get promoted to the Premier League at the end of the season. St. Gallen's sporting director Roger Stilts, on the topic of Schmidt's exit, said the following: "Of course, Isaac's departure so close to the end of the window hurts us, but this move to England is a great opportunity for him. Most importantly, Isaac has earned this move with his performances and commitment. We would like to thank him very much for his great commitment to us." The move represents about £1 million or €1 million of an increase on their previous record sale, but it's a lovely statement from their sporting director. There's no salt in it, there's no bitterness in it. He's very happy for the player, says he's earned it, and you know, all the best to him. They thank him for his time at the club. Looking forward to seeing Schmidt in a Leeds shirt as well. Also, pretty decent unit of a player. He's not a small guy at all. And I'm keen to see what kind of pressure he can put on both sides of Leeds fullbacks, as well as other places in the park that he can play. We've been missing a Stuart Dallasy-esque player for a while, and Schmidt might represent a bit of that, haven't been able to play in so many different positions across the park. But as we're in that week and we are talking about internationals and international exits, I thought we'd give you a full list of who's leaving Leeds this week to head off on international duty and who will remain. About 14 players will stay at Leeds this week, although the bulk of them will be young, underage players. But a few of the newer players, Isaac Schmidt, will remain, along with people like Pascal Struijk and Joe Rothwell, Jayden Bogle. So there's opportunities for some individual work to be done with those players during the next 14 days. A full list of players that have left on the senior side of things is as follows: Max Fober goes to Austria for 2 games. Ilya Gruev, Bulgaria. Junior Firpo, Dominican Republic. Manor Solomon off to Israel. Out Tanaka has international as World Cup qualifiers with Japan. Brendan Aronson with the USA. Carl Darlow, Wales. Ethan Ampadu, Wales. Joe Rodon, Leeds. Charlie Crew, Wales. Matteo Joseph, Spain under-21, and Willie Nonto, Italian under-21. Charlie Crew has received an upgrade from the under-21 side of Wales to the full international side for Craig Bellamy's side this weekend, after not getting the initial full call-up earlier last week, but he will now move into the senior side with the Welsh team. And Carl Darlow obviously been pictured already today in his Welsh kit in his first ever call-up. So best luck to all of them. Come back safe, come back injury-free, and come back ready to go for the next block of games before the next international break ruins everything. So we'll move into the final story of the day, and this one relates to the Archie Gray sale from Leeds United. And according to The Athletic, Archie Gray's sale for £14 million for Leeds United to Spurs may have helped Leeds avoid what they have called PSR Armageddon. We all knew that Archie was being sold for a reason. We all knew what the reason was, whether we liked it or not. We understood that it was happening for a significant reason, but we didn't get the information on why and what exactly the detail was, and we're still probably going to have to wait for the bulk of that. In the meantime, The Athletic have got some detail, and that started to emerge on the timing and what had happened. The Athletic state that Archie Sale turned into the most crucial piece of outgoing business for Leeds United this summer. Leeds' position heading into the June 30th PSR deadline was described as not rosy by The Athletic, and that the Archie sale helped Leeds to remain within the PSR guidelines and avoid a points deduction for this season. Archie represented pure profit for that 40 million, where Gio Rutter's 40 million, bulk of that will go on already planned payments that were due to for him when Leeds bought him in the first place. So most of his purchase price goes back on paying off the initial purchase for him in the first place, whereas Archie represents 100% profit into the club. It's also mentioned in this article the importance of Leeds United getting promoted to the Premier League this season, basically stating that Leeds parachute payments will drop again by half, down to less than 15% next season, and it could see Leeds have to sell a significant amount of players should they not get promoted this season. So there is a lot of pressure in getting out of this league this season if you want to maintain the bulk of what Leeds have as a squad here so far. We knew at the time when Archie was going that it was PSR. Apparently the information that's coming out as well from other places is that Leeds were expecting a Chris Somerville sale, had budgeted for a Chris Somerville sale, and assumed he would be the first sale out the door, and thought that his money would be the money that would pay off the PSR issue should they need it. However, no offers came in for Chris Somerville prior to the PSR 30th deadline, and Archie Gray was the only offer on the table, and the club accepted that due to the reasons that have been outlined. But it's still a bad taste in everyone's mouth. I think we're still waiting on the club to come out and make an official statement and talk to the square ball, whether it's through Angus Kinnear or do an interview like Prague has done earlier on the summer. There's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. They haven't delivered everything that they promised, but they have delivered a decent enough looking squad on paper that should still be strong enough to get out of this division, but we'll see how that runs itself over the next couple of months, folks. That'll be it for me today. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. Back later on tonight with a pre-recorded live stream to review the Leeds versus Hull City game. I'll talk to you then, and I'll be back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to you soon.